Good evening, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Got the chat popping already tonight, so thank you guys for hanging out pre-show and for hanging out with us live or catching this later on the replay or audio when this gets turned into audio later on.
Yeah.
So tonight, as you guys know, we've got the creative team of By the Horns from Scout Comics here tonight. We've got the artist Jason Muhr and the writer Markisan Naso. I was throwing myself off.
How many times do we have to
practice?
I know, and
Where's my ruler?
NASA, like NASA. Come
I
on.
said it like 5 times. My brain said, "Let me switch the A sound on you again."
It's cool.
Hi.
And this is why Caroline makes me do the introductions.
Oh, yeah.
She's
So I have to get none of it.
on pronunciation.
I just
So
added to
welcome
it.
in, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing?
Doing great, man. Just did a signing. And it's cool to do an interview with Jason. We haven't done one in a while. We used to do all our interviews together. And then lately I've just been doing a ton of interviews, but I haven't done with Jason in a while. So it's cool to see his pretty face.
Yeah. I got less time for interviews. I got a newborn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Definitely. Bringing the team back together.
Yep.
So we both really loved By the Horns from, well,
Thank you.
It's her fault from issue 1. She got it and then told me, hey, you need to read this. And then
to put it lightly.
My comic shop manager, Idris, she was like, she's obsessed with unicorns. So she's going to be watching this later. And she was like, you need to read this. And so both of them got me to pick it up and absolutely loved it. Love the fantasy world that we have here.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we didn't get you guys on during volume 1, but we figured right before volume 2 comes out, it's a perfect time to talk about By the Horns. Let people know about it and hopefully get them to hop on get the trade and catch up for volume 2.
Great.
Potentially goes on sale June 1st.
Potentially.
Yes. I hope.
Potentially.
Yeah. So for the listeners out there that maybe haven't come across you guys yet, can you give a little bit history of what you've done in comics and what got you into comics?
Sure. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, what got me into comics is I've always liked comics. But when I was like in grade school, my mom made the mistake of saying like, you should start a collection of something. Like everyone has a collection. All kids have a collection. What do you want to collect? And I was like, I kind of like comics. And like cut to like 6 months later when I'm like, Mom, you got to take me to the store. It's Wednesday. And she was like, I just took you last Wednesday. I was like, yeah, Mom, comics come out every week. I need to be there on Wednesdays. So I'm sure she soon learned to regret it. But yeah, I was into comics ever since then, and worked at a comic shop in high school. That's where I met Markisan.
That's what I do now.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's still my favorite job I've ever had.
Everyone's like, what do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, this?
Yeah.
This is great. I read books and I sell them to people. I have no problems with my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to love going on Wednesday. Well, back in the day, the comics used to actually come in on the Wednesday morning.
Ooh.
Cracking open that case. You see a bunch of untouched toys, untouched comics.
It's nice. I love combing through everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I still try to do that now. So, because I try to rekindle what it was like when I was a child. Because nowadays you can get everything, or you can order it, you can get it online. So, I love Conan the Barbarian. You can kind of see Conan the Barbarian's father's sword in the background there.
Yeah.
And so I don't have all the issues. So I only buy the issues when I go to a con or when I go to a comic book shop somewhere. And that way I get to go through the back issues and try to find the ones I want. I won't buy them online. So I get that same feeling that I had when I was a child.
You're a fan of the dig? They're just combing through the boxes.
I am. I love it. It's really fun. It's frustrating when you can't get every single issue, but that's part of it. It's part of the action.
Especially when you're just missing like 1 or 2, and you're like, God, where the fuck are they?
Yep.
But when you come across that 1 or 2 that you're missing, it's just that joy.
Mhm.
Like, finally. Or there's some that you're just like, I have to find this in person. eBay is like,
Mhm.
no,
Yeah.
don't want to pay eBay price, and then there it is.
It's the hunt, that's what I
Yeah.
like about it. That's what I enjoyed about comics. And when you were a kid, you just picked up a comic. It didn't matter if it was like number one or whatever. You just picked one up, you read that, and then if you were interested in it, you just go back and find other issues. And so I like that. I like to rekindle that love for comics every time I'm at a shop.
So
And
for
it
you,
actually-
it's Conan.
What's
for you,
that?
Jason, you said it's Conan. Jason, do you have one that you're always searching for?
I started doing. I'm an Amazing Spider-Man guy. I've been reading it consistently since like early '90s. I think that was like the first book I started collecting when my mom got me to start up my collection. And then recently, I found Markisan and I do a lot of conventions, to promote our book. And so when we kept going to these conventions, I felt like I needed something to hunt for. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to buy every issue of Amazing Spider-Man, regardless of condition. Obviously, the farther you go back.
Well, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
There's some hard to find ones.
For sure. So I dig in like the dollar, ripped covers, dollar bins, stuff like that. I've amassed quite a collection the last couple of years since we've been doing the book. But now what I'm running into is those like first appearance issues. Like I have, issue like 300 on till like current day, except the first appearance of Carnage, which I'm not paying like $400 for. Like I need to just find like
You
a
want a shitty quality
copy.
one that you just
Yeah.
have.
Yes. So that's what
I like
my
that with some
hunt is,
series.
old Amazing Spider-Mans.
Mhm.
That's fair.
That's
One that'll keep you going for a while too.
Yes.
I have, for volume 1 of Amazing Spider-Man, I think I haven't added 3 that I just picked up, but 197 out of, was it 440 something?
Yeah.
First volume. That's one that I also go for. But yeah, those first 30 or so,
Yes.
that's gonna be hard.
It's
And
fun
like-
because when we're at a convention together, we take breaks. Jason will man the table, and then I'll go out, and vice versa. And sometimes I'll come across those Spider-Mans and be like, Jason, you got to go to this booth because they might have the stuff you want.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you got to like come up with something to hunt for. Because like the more conventions you go to, kind of
100%.
less special they become. So you need something to hunt for.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to a convention, I'm usually hunting for like old Spider-Mans, or I get a lot of commissions.
Oh, fun.
He does. He's mostly at the table drawing. He gets a ton of commissions.
Yeah.
I do commissions, and then I use that money to go pay for commissions.
Use the hobby
I
to fund the
need
hobby, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's money in, money out for Jason. Yeah. This
need
is like,
some,
I spent 8 hours drawing all these
It's not-
commissions, and he
it's
comes
all
back and he
cash.
shows
You're
this
fine.
one
You're good.
art piece that he bought.
Yeah.
You got to get in on that game too, and
I
start
buy
drawing.
original art, but I usually buy it from the website. Like I just bought a Ben Templesmith
Ooh.
piece that he did because he's been doing comic books where he just puts them on Indiegogo or something like that.
Mhm.
And he did this Viking one called Modir, and one of the pages just kind of spoke to me, so I bought that. And
Nice.
when we do covers for Voracious or By the Horns, a lot of times they get a cover artist that I really like, and then I just buy the original. So I have quite a few
Oh,
of
that's
those.
nice.
Yeah.
One of these days.
Quick question about your drink of choice for this evening.
Oh yeah, and this is a pretty good one. So this is from Anchorage Brewing,
Ooh.
and
Nice.
it's called Watching Over Me, and it is an India Pale Ale brewed with Mosaic Incognito, DDH with Mosaic. What does that say? Cryo hops. Yeah. So looks like this. Anchorage has some pretty cool art on it.
Oh,
Pretty
wow.
metal.
Ooh.
Look at that skull.
So
So-
I like IPAs.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and for people who are listening, like if you're looking for some cool craft brews, I'm really into those. Check out Tavour, Tavour. It's an app, and basically they get all these beers from all over the country, and they put them up, and you have a chance to buy them before they sell out. They'll
that's
post them for a little
cool.
bit, and then so you get them, and then they save them for you, and then at the end of the month they send you a crate with all the beers that you've
Oh, wow,
selected. So you
that's
can choose however many you want. And it's kind of fun. I mean, we have a lot of cool beers in Chicago, but there's some ones that I really wanted to try, like Anchorage and Alaska, that I hadn't had before, and I heard some really good things. So check out Tavour, because I did it for the first time last month, and I was very happy with it. So doing it again this month.
That's really cool. There you go. Sponsor us,
So-
Table.
So Jason, you started kind kind of in the comics industry in the selling side of it. So
Yes.
what got you to take that step over
to make comics? I always wanted to draw comics when I was a little kid, and then went to art school, but I kind of chickened out. Basically, I went into graphic design. Just felt like a more stable career. But I did that for a number of years. But then I was like, you know what? I want to draw comics. That's what I've always wanted to do. So I started doing it a little bit at night, kind of like re-honing that craft, getting back into it. And then at a certain point, I had a job. The job I was at was transferring to Georgia. I wasn't going to go. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is like the push to like get me back into comics. So, well, I mean, Markisan will probably get into the nitty gritty of the story, but we kind of met up again, and he pitched me some ideas for a comic, and we've been doing that ever since. Because Markisan and I originally met because he was a customer at the comic shop that I worked at.
Yeah, well, I first I lived in New York. I was born in New York, and I moved in 2000. So first thing you got to do when you move, got to find a comic shop. So I found it. Jason was working there, and there was like a contest online to write an authority story, and I did that, and I won this contest. And so Jason really wanted to draw comics. He was like, I don't know, 10 years old or something at the time. And I gave him the script that I wrote, and he drew a few of those pages. But then he went off to college.
Yeah.
So I guess he wasn't 10. And you weren't like a Doogie Howser or anything, right, Jason? No. So yeah, so he went to college, and then I hadn't seen him for maybe 10 years. And then we had a friend who wanted to do a comic book, and he asked me to help write it. And there was like maybe 3 people who were trying to write this book. And it was Bobby, and he was running that comic shop. So he had employed Jason at the, back in the day. So I tried to write with them, but it was just hard to do it with 3 writers. And so I kind of said, I really like this idea, but I would do it in a different way. So why don't you guys just work on it? I'm going to try to work on something else. But in the process, Bobby had sent Jason some of the ideas that we had worked on, and Jason had sketched out some of the characters. And I saw that art there, and it was really good. So when that fell through, I just contacted Jason and said, hey, this book doesn't seem to be working out, but I have other ideas. Would you want to meet for some beers, some lunch, and just talk about them? That's how we did it. And so we went and met for some beers, and I pitched Voracious. I can't remember if I pitched other books, but that was instantly the one that we both wanted to do. Nice. And then I gave Jason back those authority pages that he had drawn like 10 years ago before he went to college, because I saved him all the time, and he'd forgotten that he even did them. He's a much better artist now.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it was weird. I saw the pages. I was like, I clearly drew these because this looks like my style at the time, but I had no recollection of doing them. Like a weird memory hole thing.
But how cool is that? Like, he did that a long time ago. He forgot about it. Now he has these pages, and he can see where he started, where he really started to get serious about drawing comics right before he went to college. So
yeah, it was like a time capsule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we did Voracious, and that ran for like 15 issues, 3 trades worth. And then right after we did Voracious, we decided, as we were finishing up Voracious, we were thinking about what we wanted to do next. And I was leaning towards maybe like a fantasy book. Markisan had some fantasy ideas, and that's where By the Horns was birthed. And then here we are now. By the Horns, we got 1 volume out, the trade's out, and we're starting volume 2.
I can't believe it's already 1 volume deep, right?
Soon, eventually.
And originally it was only going to be 5 issues, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was the thing too, because we had done Voracious, and that ran for 15 issues. And that was kind of ballsy, for our first book to say, hey, we got this 3 trade epic that we want to do. And like, we finished it by the skin of our teeth, but we got it done. So then when we wanted to pitch this new book, I said, like, why don't we try to, take a smaller bite, do a mini, and we'll go from there.
Clearly that didn't work
Then
out.
as we were doing it, we were just like coming up with more ideas, and the story was expanding, and like the sales were pretty good, and Scout was behind us, and it just felt like
we just enjoyed doing it. So
yeah.
Because the way we do books, we always talk about everything, and Jason really liked drawing By the Horns, the characters, and he had ideas that he wanted to incorporate into the book, and of course I had more ideas. So we just sat down and we talked about it. It was like, well, this is what it would look like if we were going to do 3, 4, 5 arcs. This is the story that I would come up with a full arc for all the characters, because they're all on journeys and you can't to do it satisfactorily.
So
have to do at least
we have more arcs coming is what I
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All 5 issues each is the plan?
Oh no, a Dark Earth is 12 issues.
Oh,
issues.
Probably be 2 trades. We'll probably do 6 and then a little break and then the other 6.
Awesome.
And then a break and then come back for arc 3.
Yeah, I think the whole series will probably be about 40 to around 40 to 50 issues. So I have it mapped out, but you know how things change when you get in there and you start writing the issues. I know the beginning, the ending. I know a lot of the middle part of it, and Jason and I have talked about a lot of that part. But then when I sit down and write it, it's like how much time do I need to give to each character to make sure that their arcs are complete?
Feasibly do it.
Right. So but that's what we're thinking.
Nice. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, and I don't know if everybody watching, listening is read By the Horns, but it's about a woman named Elodie. She's a hunter. It's a fantasy book. She lives in a fantasy world, and before the story begins, her husband's trampled by unicorns. So she swears vengeance on all unicorns.
Pretty murdered.
But unicorns are very hard to find. So she's just on a revenge quest trying to find these unicorns, and she comes from a little farming village. And the village tells her, listen, you're too obsessed with revenge. Why don't you take a sabbatical, take like a year off, get this out of your system, go hunt for unicorns. So that's kind of where our story begins. And she's partnered up with Sajin, who's her talking wolf deer sidekick.
He's telepathic.
Yes, telepathic, technically. And then along the way, they meet Evelyn, who's a floating eyeball. And she's tied into a bigger threat to the world. And that bigger threat kind of collides with Elodie's revenge quest. And
way to throw your wife's name.
I know, that's my wife's name.
So,
also on a revenge quest.
She's on And then along the way, Elodie comes across a pair of unicorns, and the kind of story goes from there. She hates all unicorns, and she might end up having to work with a pair of unicorns, and that's kind of the meat of the conflict of the story.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, she can rip off the horns.
Necessary partner.
Yeah. She can rip off the horns of the unicorns and combine them to form
That's the coolest
weapon.
shit ever.
Yeah, the horn magic weapon idea, just phenomenal.
10 out of 10.
You did.
Thank you. It's funny. It's like people haven't said that much. I was like, that's where it started.
Like that's what made me fucking love this shit. I was like, oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm like,
I like
down unicorns, killing them. Okay,
I support all of this.
Oh, that's going on with the horns. Okay, this is cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it's really fun to do that. That was the beginning of the series where I watched this movie Legend. I don't know if you guys have seen it with Tom Cruise and Metal Skirt from the 80s. It's a really classic fantasy movie. You guys are pretty young, so you might not have seen it. But you should watch it because in there is like Tim Curry plays this character called the Darkness, and he looks like the devil, but he has these gigantic horns. And he wants to kill these unicorns and plunge the world into darkness. And he does. He takes their horns and the world goes into darkness, but he doesn't do anything with the horns. And so I thought, this is ridiculous. Like, you could accomplish so much more darkness.
Murder someone with them.
Do something with these horns. Like, have a plan.
Yeah.
So that's how I came up with the idea for By the Horns. I was like, what happens if somebody ripped off those horns and could do something with them? And that's how By the Horns started. And then I had to think, okay, who's ripping off these horns? Why are they doing it? How do the unicorns feel about their horns being taken from their faces? Oh.
We got a Legend fan in the chat.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of comments here, man.
Legend scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Tim Curry is terrifying in that movie.
He is. He's like one of the greatest villains ever. Even though the movie is not very good, not written well, but as a kid, I loved it. I would watch it over and over and over. Watching it now, I still love it because I get that same feeling. There's the pacing in it, just the lush fantasy. I googled it.
It's like one of my friend's favorite movies. I have seen pictures of this before. I have been told to watch this before.
You guys should watch it and then review it on your cast.
Very ethereal. like things just kind of happen in the movie. Like there's a plot, but then like just things will materialize, things will happen. You're just like, okay, I guess got to go along with it. But
there's a devil guy who wants to plunge into the world into darkness, and then he sees this girl, and all he wants to do is like put her into like goth outfits and have her dance around, and that's it. That's all he does.
The D&D plot's gone very wrong.
The girl from Ferris Bueller, right? Wasn't she in Ferris Bueller?
Was she?
Yeah,
she was. Yeah.
Billy Barty's in it. The voice of what is it? Is he the voice of Gonzo? Maybe. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, you guys got to watch it. I want to hear your thoughts on it because you've never seen it, and I think it's better when you're a child. But who knows? Maybe it's going to be your favorite film.
I mean, I've heard good things about it. Not like it's amazing, but like it's enjoyable and a unique experience for everyone involved.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, if it didn't exist, I don't know that By the Horns exists. So, you got to give it credit for that.
Yeah. Someone in the comments mentioned Clue too. Love Clue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a top 10 movie for me right there.
One of the best. I mean, Tim Curry's an icon in and of himself, though.
Yeah.
So we're talking about origins of some things, so origins of By the Horns. But we've got some of these villains in it. I don't know how much we want to spoil for those that haven't read. They have some origins from mythology, right?
Yep. They're all based on different wind wizards from various mythologies, Japanese, Chinese, Babylonian. And so I researched a bunch of different wind characters. They're gods, actually, in mythology. But because I wanted to have the wizards have these wind powers. So, and come to find out, these gods are really cool looking. They had really cool powers, and they all looked really different. So we used that as the basis. And then, I came up with some ideas of how I want their powers to work. And then Jason drew them out. And then Jason had ideas for how their powers would work. And we kind of used this mythology as a way in, and then created our own kind of wind sorcerers from that. So It was really fun.
And I love that. That's I think some of that was in the individual issues, but collected all in the trade has that little backstory about each of how you went from the mythology and the god to the wind wizard, which super cool just to see that process and how you guys were thinking creatively there.
Thanks. Yeah. Jason likes to do that stuff in the back. He has a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
It gives him something to do.
Stuff. Yeah. I think when I first originally drew them out, they stuck pretty closely to what they looked like in mythology. And then I kind of went away from it for a while and came back, and I was like, no, I think I can do something a little more interesting. So we kind of put our own spin on them.
Well, and we also incorporated technology in the book, because when we first started doing By the Horns, it was a straight fantasy book. And then later, when we came back to it, I told Jason I wanted to add some more technology to it. So he was all for that. And then so he started incorporating that into the different wizards as well, which I thought was really neat, like giving him mechanical arms or the face mask,
Yeah, I was gonna say that mask was super
Yeah.
cool. Definitely gives her such a villainous look just on the mask alone.
So much more ominous when you can't really see their face.
Yeah, no, and we hint at that there's something going on there.
What's going on?
Yeah, there's something going on with their face.
Because you see an issue, I think it's maybe seven. She takes the mask off, but you don't actually see her face. So, but you will find out about that later. Nothing in the book, everything I write, I try to make it matter, and so there's not a wasted space. So, if you go back into the book and read it again and you see something that happens in it, chances are it's probably going to come back. It's probably going to have an impact on what's going to happen.
Main story.
Yeah. Like in the first issue, Elodie gets that device. She gets a little device from the store, and it just seems like an innocent thing, but that thing comes back later on.
Yeah.
That's always a tricky thing with drawing it too, because sometimes Markisan will write something in a script and I'll be like, is this a thing? Is this important?
Do I need to know?
Yeah, like how much work do I need to put into designing something, or how little work? Because sometimes I'll over design something and then we'll come back and I'll be like, oh shit, that's so complicated to draw. Like, why didn't I just make it simpler?
Yeah,
I always ask, like, is this going to be a thing? Because I need to know ahead of time if how much work.
And I don't always know, and I'm like, Jason, just draw everything cool as shit, and then you don't have any problems. I don't understand.
I did like
everything extra work for yourself, and we're fine.
Your commentary. I think it was on. Is it Keb? I don't know how to say that one. Cute.
Keb, yeah, that's right.
Is that the one with the?
It's the ram. He's the ram.
It's got the 4 faces.
Yeah.
Jason put in the neck.
Your original drawing, how it had all 4 heads because that matched the mythology, but you're like, nah, that's gonna be too much work later on.
0%.
4-headed ram. So not only did he have 4 heads, but he had 4 ram heads.
Yeah.
He'd drawn them all with different horns. Like one had curlicue horns, one had like kind of like straight up horns. And I was like, that is gonna be a colossal pain in the ass to draw.
Yeah.
So I was like, you gotta think of something different.
But I agree with what you said that it looks more ominous with the faces in the neck. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, so now he has like a main head and he has like 3 other faces in his neck, which is really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And Markisan made it so that they all talk.
Yeah.
Jason hated that part too.
Well, I hated that for lettering purposes because then I'd always have to run the word balloons around his neck.
Yep. But it was cool because I like that part of it because you just talk differently than you've seen in with other creatures. So, he's a cool character.
4 individual heads.
Yeah.
I was gonna say beings, but there's one being, 4 heads.
Yeah.
And from the reading side, I think it does add an extra element of one, like the detail that you guys went into with it, and then just like, okay, what's going on with this guy because he's got bubbles everywhere,
right?
And then you're drawn in to the design and the art.
You're kind of cute.
Yeah, we try to think all that stuff out ahead of time. Like we'll ask ourselves questions like, why is this like this? Try to do everything with a purpose. Or sometimes even Markisan will come up with an idea for, say, a character. I'll draw it, and then Markisan will like what I drew, and maybe come up with a backstory based on the drawing. Like try to incorporate some of the. So it's a circle that like the comic. It's always feeding back on itself, like the creative process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I mean, there's characters from the first arc that you wouldn't think would be coming back, but are coming back in Dark Earth. So just because I like the way Jason drew them, or I just thought that they would be a cool part of the second story arc.
I'm always down for things like that. Like when a minor character just gets like real cool. Someone's like, you know what? I fuck with them. We're gonna make them main now.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it.
Yeah, I think Gary Panda was only supposed to be in issue 1, but we both enjoyed him. So
yeah. So we did. I had a good idea for him. So.
That was great.
Yeah.
And there's so many things like that. Like you said, that even from the first panel, that comes back in a very good way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought the story was going in a way different direction because of that. And so that twist, without trying to spoil things.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big spoiler, but page 1 appears again at the end of our story.
Yeah.
The story takes place over the course of the year. So you kind of see the end of the story on page 1, and then we flash back 1 year earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the fun of the story, is trying to connect the dots of how does Elodie get from...
Yeah. How do you get there?
Yeah,
that was fun.
Because that's always in the back of your mind, because what happens on that first page is going to come true at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So you're always waiting for like the hammer to drop. Like, when is that scene going to happen?
Yeah.
But it's also tough though, because I write that first scene and I know it has to get back there. Right. And I know there has to be more after that part. So I really had to plan it out, to get to that point, to make it surprising, to make it interesting, to make it something that you just didn't expect to happen in the book. And I think we accomplished that. But I also wrote that 8th issue 6 times. And I've never done that ever. I've always been like a first draft kind of guy. I might tweak the dialogue after Jason letters it or whatever, but I've never rewritten a script so many times. But I just wanted to have that ending be perfect. Yeah. And so I always think until I write the next, awesome thing that I love. But that's like the best thing that I've written, because it brings everything like full circle in a way, to me, that's very satisfying.
It did a really good job of tying it all up.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think even like from issue 6 to the end is where it just got like every issue was emotional, so impactful, and then you hit issue 8 where everything just comes together. And
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's nothing. I'm like, what happened to this? This was left unanswered. It wraps it up nicely, but then it leaves the question. Well, I guess there's one piece that leads us to maybe the next volume.
I mean, there's a few things that you don't know what happened to Sajin's family. You don't know what the wizard's plan was. So there's a lot going on there still. Like, you don't even really know that much about Elodie, to be honest. So so there's a lot more that we're going to be able to play with. You don't really know where Evelyn comes from. She thinks she knows where she comes from, but you don't really know.
That's true.
So there's a lot of things that we seed in that first arc that you will get payoffs for down the road. So that's what I mean. Like, every single panel in there kind of matters. If you go back and look at like Evelyn's story, you'll see that there's a progression there, and that it's going to be leading towards something else. But you might not notice it right away when you're reading it. But yeah, I also really love like the end of 5 and how it moves into 6, which is the silent issue. So I'm really happy with how that turned out.
Probably one of the most emotional issues I've ever read without really having to read.
I love a good book that does like low dialogue, low bubble text. And that was just like, I was like thoroughly into it when it came out. I was like, ooh, yes, this was written for me. That, I mean, it was not written.
Yeah. It let Jason's artwork really shine and tell the emotional ride of their story.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why we did it. I dreamt about that issue. That issue is not supposed to be part of the original run, but I kept dreaming about it, and I wrote it in my dreams. And then one day I just wrote the whole thing down, and then I sent Jason a really long email. He hates when I send him long emails explaining why this needed to be in there. And then Jason read it. He's like, all right, cool. We'll do that. But it's the emotional heart of the series. And I knew Jason was going to kill it on that, because he's just so good at expression and emotion. And I wanted to write that story that way because I knew it didn't read words, but I also knew that Jason was going to be able to convey every single important piece of that, so that you would know what Elodie's past was like, what Sajin was like, what they were feeling in that moment. And it came out even better than I imagined. So.
And I'll say that one was like, you pick it up off the shelf, you look at the cover, and you immediately know you're in for an emotional ride just from the cover alone.
Trauma.
Yeah. Trauma. We both like talked about this with each other like afterwards, just like
it's like, is everything okay?
Are you okay?
I'm okay, because I don't think I'm okay.
Virtual hugs,
you
friends.
wounded me. Specifically, you have wounded me.
75% of the issue is really happy.
That's a good point.
Like something bad's gonna happen towards the end.
That depends on your opinion of weddings, sir.
But I think that's what makes it more devastating, is that you know that they had this great life.
This means you fucking lied. You're like, look at this happy family, look at everything, it's amazing, it's a wedding.
You're from the South, everything is big weddings, isn't it?
Listen, we are not murderous weddings. Usually, like 99% of the time.
I see.
Shit's not no fracky.
Wow, there's a lot of questions over here. This is cool. Scrolling through this.
Yeah, I think there was one or two that we didn't get to over here from the chat. There was a comment about Hawaiian lore from Sealist E-Man. But
Hawaiian lore, interesting. There is not. I lived in Hawaii for 2.5 years. I just moved back to Chicago. I didn't put any. There's nothing from Hawaii that I put into the book. Maybe, I mean, I suppose a lot of legends are similar. Like you're talking about villains, and then we got the volcano for one of them. So I could see where maybe somebody could think there's a little bit of Hawaii in there, but no, I didn't actually research any Hawaiian stuff. I have researched a lot of Hawaiian stuff for other books just because it's really fascinating to me, and you haven't really seen too much of that. There's a book called Hawaiian Dick that came out that does stuff with Hawaii and the different legends, but other than that, and then in Hawaii there's a lot of really great local creators who also work with the mythology, Hawaiian mythology and stuff. That's really fun. But
I feel like just Hawaiian the visuals sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I love Hawaii, and I'm always trying to get him back into like a jungle environment or just a tropical enviment. I keep pitching Markisan on this tropical scene that I think we're gonna get to finally.
You dream of her on like a real tropical beach.
Yeah.
If you keep putting that idea into his head, he'll have.
I keep saying like, I gotta go.
Oh gosh.
Jason does this. Do is take a vacation to Hawaii together.
We actually, when Markisan was living in Hawaii, I visited him out there.
Aww.
Yeah. So we have been to Hawaii together.
That's true, and I've actually seen your sister out there too. So.
Oh, yeah, my sister visited you.
So yeah. Jason pitches me these ideas, and I've put, I think, almost everything he's ever asked me to do in the book, but sometimes it doesn't quite line up. It has to work with the story. So I'll get it in it, but it just might not be as soon as he wants it. You know what I mean? Like it has to flow well with the story.
I sent Markisan pictures of like visuals, like, oh man, look at this giant rock formation. Work that in the book, or like,
just like, all right, now which part of the island could be Hawaii-like?
Well, I mean, there's a whole big world. That's just one continent.
That's true. If
here's what you do, right? You do
that you guys are leaving the continent at some point.
Yeah.
You do slipcover for the hard case, and when you take the slipcover off, it's everybody in Hawaii.
Yeah. I drew like a beach picture for fun because when we were between volumes 1 and 2, our colorist Andre on the first volume, amazing colorist, we love Andre. He's semi-retired from comics, so we had to find a new colorist. So I had for fun, I just drew this like a swimsuit piece because I had actually just been to a garage sale and I picked up a bunch of the old Marvel swimsuit editions.
Oh, fun.
It felt like drawing the characters in like a fun beach scene. And it was very tropical influence there. There's like a tiki thing in the background. And so what we did was we had some of the colorists that potential colorists on the book actually try out with that piece. So we got it colored by a couple different colorists. And that's how we found Steve Cannon, our new colorist. But yeah, that was definitely like Hawaiian tiki influenced. But that just made me want to put that kind of scene into the book. So I want them to...
Nice. Yeah. Jason loves environments. He always wants to draw different environments. So this book lends itself really well to that because on the continent, there's a lot of different environments. And then we're going to be going to some other continents too. So he gets to do, you can do pretty much whatever we want with it. That's what's really fun about By the Horns. But hey, shout out to Ignacio. Ignacio is doing a cover for us and we're working on a book too.
Nice.
He's a cool guy.
And he had a question, I guess, artist to artist. How
am I balancing comics with being a dad? I don't know. Not well, probably.
He's slow. Jason used to be fast. Now he's slow.
I'm slowly. So our daughter is going to be 3 months on Monday. So I'm slowly like ramping up to like.
She's a baby.
Yeah, she's a baby. Yeah.
A couple of my friends, one of them has 8 months, one of them has 6 months right now. So like, they're going through it too. A couple of my friends.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, I'm slowly getting back into that. Actually, my wife goes back to work on Monday, and we're having someone actually take care of her during the day. So like, I feel like I can actually like put in a full day's worth of book.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I was like, at first I was just kind of doing like after she was born, I was doing like a page a week. Just slowly getting back into it, and I was kind of like ramping it up as I went along. I mean, there's days in the last couple of weeks where I've drawn with her like in my arm.
You gotta do what you
Come in and she'll be like, I gotta take a shower. You gotta hold her. Like, luckily I draw digitally, so there's not like,
sometimes literally all you have to do is hold them.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Although now she's getting a lot fussier now. In the beginning, when she was really little, she just sleeps. So whatever, I just put her in my arm.
Knock out. You just put them in the little baby thing.
Your non-drawing
the Bjorn.
Very strong.
Yeah.
I tried the Bjorn. The Bjorn.
I call my friend and she just got the baby in the thing while she's like doing shit. I'm like, all right.
I do like the Bjorn, but like hunching over a desk and having that extra like 10 pounds on your chest is like a killer on the back.
So like stand up and do squats.
Yeah.
Go to the standing desk.
I can't imagine you doing traditional drawings with a baby
that would
like
be so hard.
You couldn't do it.
The thing
I find is a lot easier.
So I draw digitally, so like I can do it with the one hand, but digital drawing requires you to do a lot of work at the keyboard. Edit, undo, or hitting shift to draw a straight line. So I do a lot of like holding her and like trying to gingerly touch the keyboard without bonking her head into the laptop. So yeah, it's quite a feat.
Doing that shit.
Trying.
Father creative in the chat here.
Somebody asked me if I've ever had Pliny the Elder. Yes, I have. Not only have I had that, but I've also had the double dry hop Pliny the Elder, which is delicious and even better than the other one.
There's also I think a question about how dark of a beer do you go?
Well, I love dark beers. I love stouts, and porters are my favorites. So I go pretty dark. I don't usually drink beers that are under like 9%. This one's actually light for me, but yeah, I like a good stout. There's a lot of stouts out there now that are let's throw like candy in it, let's throw chocolate in it, and I don't mind that. I like experimentation.
Coffee is a big one around here.
I like coffee in it, but I don't like it to be too sweet. And I feel like a lot of times they do these stouts and they're way too sweet. So I like a stout flavored stout. That's always good.
A stout.
So you're based in Pittsburgh, you said?
Oh no, I live in Virginia.
Okay.
I went to school in central Pennsylvania, and a lot of my friends are in Philly.
What about you?
I live in Hampton Roads.
I'm New Orleans.
New Orleans, okay.
Oh, I've been there. I like New Orleans.
I'm not a beer, but more like whiskey.
I'll drink sours any day. Give me that tangy fruit bullshit. Hell yeah. Ugh. I want my beer to taste like a cocktail, not a beer.
I don't even consider sours beers. I have a friend who loves sours, and I just visited him in
if
San
it
Francisco.
Doesn't physically make me react, I don't want it. Like, ooh, more.
I don't like to pucker when I drink.
Oh, it's the best.
Nah.
So good.
Yeah, I have a friend in San Francisco who loves them, and he's got like a wall of sours, and so he's always trying to convert me to sours because there's so many different kinds.
They're so good.
I haven't liked any of them.
You're just drinking fruit, alcoholic fruit. It's like wine, but not shitty.
Well, you enjoy it. Everybody's got to find their thing. So
yeah.
Caroline, you enjoy those sours.
More for you.
The physical cringe when I smell an IPA or like a Guinness, and I'm just like, no. Why? My Irish family is all cringing.
I just had Guinness the other day. I hadn't had it in a while. I hadn't had it since I went to Ireland, and it was delicious in Ireland. And so when I came back, it just wasn't the same because they had it on tap, and it's like constantly flowing because the old timers are at the bar at like 9 in the morning drinking
all day.
So the beer there is amazing, but having it in a bottle is just not as good. But I had one, and you know what? Not bad.
Worth it? No.
Ignacio has a response.
No magic trick no, you tell me. What is the magic trick to get a baby to go to bed?
Right. It's a little whiskey, right? You dip your finger in the whiskey and then
right? Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, Ignacio's got 8 months on you, so
that's rough.
It's going pretty fast though, Jason. I mean, it's already been a couple months.
Yeah, she's almost 3 months. Actually, hold on 1 second. I'll be back.
Speaking of,
maybe he'll bring
all right then.
Maybe bring a baby. My baby is my kitty.
Same. Mine has
I
been
don't
in
know
my
where he
lap
is.
off and on. I don't know where she went.
If
I'm
my kitty
surprised.
was in here, I would not be on camera because I'd be grabbing it off of things. So,
Oh, there's a baby.
Baby.
Oh.
This is Violet.
Oh,
Oh.
she's adorable. I haven't met
Baby.
Violet in person.
Yeah, man, just baby Bjorn that shit up.
Oh, she's like, "What are you doing,
Yeah.
Dad?
What is
Why
that?
am I?
That baby.
Why am I here?"
Yeah.
like, I want to go back to sleep.
She didn't consent to being on the internet.
She doesn't. Don't worry about it. She's too cute.
She has no rights.
Yeah, she's a woman.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's true.
All right. Not
So,
yet.
yeah, I can make that joke.
That's terrible.
uh,
Terrible. It's happening.
Ignacio saying hi.
Oh,
It's
don't
super
get to
cute,
bite.
Jason.
Yeah.
It's well crafted. Good job.
No magic tricks, just copy.
Yeah. She does have to go to bed. You got to go to bed soon.
Then she's like, I guess.
She's calling out.
What you tell me to do.
All right. Back to her mom.
So we've been talking about By the Horns Volume 1.
Mhm.
Everyone can get this at their local comic shop. They can get it on Scout's website, both of your guys' websites, I believe.
Yeah, at jasonmuir.com or markisan.com.
I dropped those in the description down below for people watching.
Yeah, Jason does a lot of remarks, so if you want some drawings on there, and he doesn't charge a lot for that, and we don't charge for signatures. We just, price the books what the, like, if we have variants, whatever the company that did the variants or the comic shop priced it, we put it up there. So we do signatures for free. So feel free to buy some stuff.
You even have a remark option for yourself too.
Oh yeah, I charge for that. I charge $5 to do a remark or a clever, witty remarks because I got to think about that. But yeah,
I feel like
I will draw in there. I
need to
have
do
drawn
one
one cover.
I did see that there's a picture of the one, and then there's a sample of the witty remarks.
Yeah. So yeah,
Pretty
people
cool.
ask me to do that. So every time I go to a con or when I sign at Free Comic Book, they ask me to draw, and I was like, no, I don't think so.
I mean, so we went to Baltimore Comic Con this last year, and I asked Brian K. Vaughn to remark Paper Girls #1.
Mm-hmm.
It's hilariously bad.
It's a stick figure.
It's a stick figure riding a bike.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's perfect. This is for me to keep and enjoy the kind of the comedy of it. He's like, I'm not an artist, but
he was like, are you sure you want me to deface your book?
Yeah. he was getting a little jealous of Cliff's Cliff being the artist of Paper Girls. He's also now writing and drawing and lettering and doing everything.
All right, that Catwoman book is really good.
Yeah. So they did a Paper Girls panel, and he was talking about how jealous he was that he was doing all the things. So he's like, I gotta start to draw. So the next day, I brought him Paper Girls and said, hey, you want to draw?
Nice, yeah.
Well, will you draw on mine?
Here's your practice, I guess.
People ask, I'll draw I'll try to put a little bit more effort into it. I have drawn one cover for Voracious. I've joked with Jason because that cover actually sold out, and I was like, maybe I should do all the covers. But it took me
make him the ratio variant.
Forever. It took me forever to draw it, and I had to get Jason's help. I'm like, I don't think this looks right, Jason. And Jason gave me tips. So, but I did it. I got it done. I really wanted to. I really want to do one for By the Horns too, but I haven't had time to do one. So I have many ideas for doing a cover, but maybe since we have like 5 arcs, maybe I can get one in
somewhere in there.
Like a Black Friday special or something.
Yeah.
Perfect. So coming into Volume 2, is there anything that you guys can say about Volume 2 that you want to say to get people hopping in?
Volume 2 picks up right after, it picks up a few months after Volume 1. And you kind of got to figure out where all the characters are now because, they've lived a little bit of life in between, in the aftermath of the last volume. without spoiling anything.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's going to be another threat of some kind, or else there wouldn't really be a book.
What?
So they might have to go on a new quest. So our characters.
There's a threat. I thought they were just going to sit around drinking sour beers.
It's all just Mai Tais, chilling on the beach. I'll finally get to draw my.
They
Is this
actually,
not
Trying to
big
get that
vacation?
seed, Jason.
they actually came to Earth, are in Hawaii, sipping on Mai Tais.
Yeah.
I thought this was the Maui vacation special. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I don't know how much we want to spoil, but yeah.
I mean,
there's covers out there, so like obviously if you've seen the covers, you know they go on a new
yeah.
quest.
Elodie and Sajin, they're back and they're in Wayfair and they're farming. They're trying to make a go at being part of the community. And there's a blight that's happening across the continent, and they have to try to figure out what's going on.
Yes,
And
it's because of
so
what
that's how
they
it
did
starts.
too.
Right. There's
They
a
thought
lot of
their actions had consequences.
Yeah, there's a lot of repercussions from what happened in the first volume. So in this volume, the tables are kind of turned because Elodie was like hell bent on trying to find the unicorns and destroying them.
Mhm.
And in this one, because of the choices that they made, there are other factions that are lined up against Elodie and friends who want to get revenge on them for what happened.
Yeah.
So that's where it's kind of flipped. So Elodie kind of feels the responsibility, the weight of all the decisions she made in volume 1, and how does that affect the adventure going forward. And so that's what it's really about. It's like about taking responsibility for the things that you've done. Because in the beginning, Elodie didn't. She just all she really wanted to do was feel better. You know,
Murder.
she wanted to bring Shintaro back, and she couldn't. So she wanted to try to find a way to feel better. And in this one, it's different because now she feels that what she does matters to everybody on Solithus. And so she has to more carefully weigh what she does and how it affects people. And so that kind of changes her as the series goes along.
Yeah. And now she's famous too. Like people know what she did. So now she's, in the first volume, they were on a quest and they were going from town to town, environment to environment, but they're kind of unknown. But now, she's rolling into a town and they've heard of her before and they might not like what she did. So she's sort of like a celebrity.
Okay.
For worse.
Okay.
And she has enemies. She has unknown enemies already. Because in the first volume, she kind of stumbled onto the plot of the wizards.
Yeah.
Upon herself to do the right thing. And now she has, she's made enemies that she hasn't even met before. They're pre-pissed at her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an adventure book. It's a fantasy book, so there's going to be a lot of traveling around.
And it's like, even if you make the right choice, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to affect people and creatures negatively. So that's just a really big responsibility for everybody in the series. You have to make these life and death choices. And usually you make them for just yourself. But in this case, they're making it for an entire continent and maybe even more than that. So
repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of the stuff you liked in the first volume, different environments, different monsters, different weird creatures in each town and place they visit, and new villains, and more of the same. More of the good stuff, like the stuff.
More of the good stuff that makes us want to keep reading.
Yes, the stuff.
Drama, comedy, action, all the stuff from the first one.
Did you say trauma or drama?
Drama. There's trauma as well. All the muzz.
I mean, the one thing I think that was really cool with this was, seeing there are other creatures that they're not necessarily coming in direct contact with, but you mapped out, they went along this path and they found this thing. And
I love that bit.
Like, there's all these extra stories maybe of their adventures that don't get to be told because you only have so many issues, but it really opens the world up. So do we get more?
That was Jason's idea. I did the signing today and somebody said that exact same thing to me. that they loved the travel map because it kind of like it made
It's
the world
fun.
feel bigger, more lived in. You know, you kind of understood what the dangers were. You know, you understood where they were traveling and how they had to navigate.
It's more than
this.
just like you start the comic in one spot and suddenly you're in a new town. It's like, hey, here's how they got there.
Well,
even if you don't really see it.
Yeah, it was Jason's idea to do that map, and then I was like, oh, all right, that sounds like a cool idea. And he's like, you got to write descriptions for all these beasts that are on it, and you need to have like 5-6 beasts. I'm like, are you serious? And then I started writing. I'm like, oh, I like this. And so you'll see as the book goes on, like the very first travel map, the descriptions are small, but as it goes on,
they get bigger.
I get more and more involved in that. And we're actually doing, I don't know how many we're going to do, but our friend Jonathan Lamancho is a great horror artist, and he's done covers for comics. He did one for Voracious. He's worked for Heavy Metal and magazine and done all these things. He's actually doing a bestiary covers where he spotlights creatures from the map. So there'll be Scout exclusive variants, and he's done 3. He's done 3. He's going to do 4 at least. But those are pretty cool.
They took the little picture on the map and blew it up to a full cover and did something cool with it, so you get to see a little bit more.
Yeah. I just put a new one in the Dropbox today, Jason. I think it's the best one. The Saxalinks. It's so good.
I will check it out.
Yeah, and then we got Marianne Guzmao as a colorist. So we got Steve Cannon is our new colorist for By the Horns Dark Earth, because Andre decided he was going to step away from comics, and we've been enjoyed working with Steve, and we kind of had colorists do tests to try to figure out who you'd want to be a colorist, and Marianne Guzmao was somebody I really liked as a colorist, so I asked her to color Jonathan's covers, and she's been doing a great job on it as well.
Yeah,
so
those map pages. One of the reasons I wanted to do those map pages, because one of the things I always love about books is like world building. Yeah. When you're reading the story, but you can tell there's a larger story behind the scenes. And I think one of the cool things about those maps are there's like lists of locales that sound interesting that we may or may not go to. There's monsters that you fought along the way that you don't really see the battle, but it's implied the fight. Yeah. I just love that stuff. One of my favorite books is Lock and Key.
Yeah.
And what I love about Lock and Key is there's the main story going on, but there's also the implied backstory that this house is a history, and there's keys that you may never see, or you'll see a key and they'll give you a name of it, and you're like, I don't know what that does, but that sounds cool,
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is making the world feel bigger by dropping in those little things. Recently, I did a new map for the second volume, and Markisan had kind of sketched up the map and said these are the names of kind of the towns and the different sections of that continent. And then he was like, you just filled in with whatever you want. So I went through and I just made up a bunch of names like Valley of the Living Mist. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Dude, that sounds weird. So fucking cool.
Yeah, you did a good job. I was like, well, Jason, you're pretty metal.
Sir, do you DM by any chance?
Is it what?
Do you DM?
DM? Oh, but yeah, Dungeon Man. I feel like I'd be good at that.
I feel like you would be very good at that.
Scenarios.
When's the By the Horns RPG coming out?
Yeah.
I don't. No one's ever expressed interest in it that I know of, but I can't imagine a comic that's better suited for it because we already have 30-something monsters in it, and that's just on the travel maps. This doesn't include all the wizards and all the other monsters we got there. And we've done maps, and
by the time you finish the comic, you've built so much in there. Like you have even more monsters.
Oh yeah, I mean we're going to continue the travel map. I don't know if it's going to come up as frequently as it did in the first arc, but we'll continue the travel map and we'll keep making more monsters. So I don't know how many we'll have by the end. I mean we might get to like 100 different monsters if we go 5 arcs.
Yeah,
who knows?
That's the cool thing about the book.
So what you're gonna do is release a whole module bestiary of just here's all the monsters, here's all their stats.
Yeah,
we've talked about it.
Yeah, how powerful they are, and
here's the first people expressing interest.
Here's Elodie, here's each of the unicorns.
Yeah.
Everybody gets their own stat page, and then you got all the monsters.
Well, we did, Jason. We did those cards a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like a promotional thing for the book when it was coming out. We made these like trading cards for the characters to like send the shops.
Yeah, we should bring that back. Jason and I have been talking about maybe doing a Kickstarter for a hardcover version of By the Horns, and so of course.
And then you can give it the beach cover. A little slip jacket.
Slide it on the inside.
If you get enough people to back it, that's what you do. You turn it into a slip jacket, and then you get the beach cover.
For sure. Yeah, I just want to draw the characters relaxing.
That's it. Yeah.
Markison's the one that puts them in danger. I just want to have them like chilling, drinking a Mai Tai.
Oh, Jason,
umbrellas.
He loves action though. He likes to draw action stuff. So.
All right, so like murder scene on the beach. Let's go.
With Mai Tai.
Yeah, that's true.
You got a Mai Tai in one hand and a magical horn in the other. It's fine.
It sounds fun.
I know we're probably getting close to. Probably gotta get Violet ready for bed, and
I think Jason needs to get ready for bed.
I need to get ready for bed.
But I did want to put this last question up here from Ignacio. What's the one question about the book you both want to answer, but it's never been asked? Besides that question right there.
Yeah, as I was going to say. Can I say this question? Damn it.
I had to add it in
that.
That's a good question. I don't know. I've been asked a lot of questions.
Yeah. People always ask about the monsters. They ask where the book came from.
No, I mean, I guess for me, really, it's I take a lot of pride in layering the book, and you guys have mentioned that too. You know, where it starts on that single page and then it ends. You come right back to that page. So there's a lot of layers that I try to put in with the characters, and a lot of times, like if I see a review, we've had like tremendous reviews. I really appreciate all the reviews that have been, talking up the book. But I guess talking about that part of it, like the emotional layering of the characters while still be able to deliver like a fun action book, I think is like pretty difficult. So I've never really been asked that part of it, I guess. Like, how do I go about doing that? But then it would be like another 2-hour cast.
So we'll
get your TED Talk.
The next one all based on that question of the follow-up discussion.
Yeah. Because Jason and I put a lot, and we really do a lot of, and people also don't point out, there's things we do that like people just don't do in the book. Jason changes the logo every single issue. I mean, that's the extra effort we put into the book. And so, no one's ever asked us about that.
Yeah. I don't know if people notice that.
Nobody notices it, but that's the thing. But we don't do it to get noticed. We do it because it means something to us that we want to go the extra mile to put that stuff in the book. But it would be cool if somebody was like, "Oh, you guys changed the logo. How did that happen?"
Yeah, that is something no one ever talks about, but it is something I always have to think about every month. I always have to, when I finish drawing the issue, I have to go back. I'll be like, okay, what cool monsters can I put on the cover? I always have to pick out something. I remember there was one issue. Issue 5 has issue 5 didn't feature a lot of new monsters, so I didn't have a lot to choose from. So if you actually look at the issue, the one monster on the cover doesn't actually appear in the issue. It appears with bones. So I had to envision what that monster would look like with flesh back on it. That's one of the ones that's like
right. And that's what I mean. So that stuff's really cool, but no one's ever. I mean, we're talking about it now, which is cool, but no one's ever asked us about that. And that's mostly Jason. Jason wanted to do that. I had an idea for what the logo should be, but then Jason came up with it, and then he decided he wanted to put the different monsters on it. I was like, "Are you sure? That's a lot of work for you. It's like you doing another page basically every month." But it's just it's a really cool touch, I think, that is I've never seen that in another comic ever.
Does that come in from your graphic design experience and why?
Yeah, for sure.
That angle.
Yeah, definitely. Because Like I draw the book, but then, I put it together, I do the design work, and I'm always thinking about like the layout of the text pieces and the logo and all that stuff. I put a lot of work into that. The design of the trade itself, we went back and forth trying to figure out like cool design. I'm big on like, trades looking consistent. So that when you line them up on their shelf, they all have like a consistent look or consistent theme. One of Markisan and I's most favorite books is Invincible.
Yeah.
One thing I love about that is Robert Kirkman's really big into trade design too. Because if you'll notice how like the 6-issue trades of Invincible have like a very standard, well, any of his books, Walking Dead, Walking Dead has that great zombie collage that flows from like volume 1 to like volume 40. It's the same image. If you lined up all the trades together, all the Invincible volumes. So like the 6-issue trades have a look to them. And then the 12-issue hardcovers have a specific look. And then those compendiums have a specific look. So I always love that type of stuff when they can like.
No, I get really annoyed when it changes slightly. Like say like the line is here, and then suddenly in the next volume it's like here, and I'm like, what the fuck did you do?
It drives me nuts.
Why?
The other thing too is like with all our trades, even Voracious, like we always try to do a new cover for the trade because it always drives me nuts too when like a trade just has
it's just reused art.
Second issue cover.
Unless it's like really gorgeous art.
Sure. You want to feature it. I like the idea of like
really representing variant cover that you wish you could have gotten.
For sure.
Yeah. We spend a lot of time just trying to figure out how we want to present it the best way. Even the trade, Scout's awesome. They're like they put everything in one trade, 8 issues. That's a huge trade for $20.
Yeah.
And then we asked them like how many pages do we have left in it? And they told us the max, and we just put as much as we could in the books. You get the biggest bang for your buck.
Yeah.
I don't know any other like 8-issue trade paperback with all that extra stuff in it for $20.
And some will be like it'll be 4 issues and it'll be $20 still.
Yeah.
Like what? You get awesome story for $20.
No, it's huge. So that's really cool.
Yeah, each issue has like a little back matter piece about like the design of stuff.
Well, and then Jason and I put chapter breaks in it, that aren't in the original pages. We really think about these things. So you'll see it. There's like a page, and then Jason had something else originally. I was like, Jason, you need to put those logos you had on the front that we were just talking about. You need to have those in the page breaks. Like, yeah, there you go. Because you put so much work into those. They should be in there. And then it's like, let's put a quote from the book in there too. And so, we enjoy doing that part, designing and making the trade paperback. It's by the horns, but it's its own experience too. There's a little something different than what you would get if you read the single issues. If you read all the single issues, I don't think we got all the back matter into the trade.
No, it's all in there.
It is. Okay. Yeah. You just condensed it.
I condensed and then added a little bit more too. So the trade has more than
so get the trade and the single issues.
Yeah.
Right on.
Do a reread. And I love that all that was together there in the back. So when you finished doing your reread of it, you had all that information there.
Yeah. Sometimes I worry that I'm like blabbing on too much in like the little back matter when I'm explaining my design process. Sometimes I'm like, do people care about this? Me deciding like why I want to make something red instead of green. But every once in a while, somebody will come up to me at a show or a signing. They'll be like, "Oh, I really love those," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. As long as one person out there is reading, I'll keep doing it."
And here's the thing: you put it in there, and the people who really enjoy that stuff get to read it. If you don't, you can just skip it.
Yeah, you just don't have to read it.
Yeah,
sure. Speaking of Robert Kirkman again, if anybody reads Firepower, in the back of every issue, him and Chris Samnee, the artist. Yeah. They have like a discussion back and forth. And I love reading that because I love reading what Chris Samnee hates to draw because I empathize deeply with him. Sometimes I feel like sometimes I'll complain to Markisan about having to draw something. And I'm like, am I being a whiny little bitch? And I'll read Chris Samnee and I'm like, oh no, Chris Samnee hates drawing this too. Okay, good. Or like, I love hearing other artists talk about like the shortcuts they take or like, not taking the easy way out, but being more economical about stuff. So I just like hearing, that sort of thing and relating to it. So hopefully that can relate to me.
Yeah, it's always going to be the case. There's going to be things that artists really, really like to draw. And that's why when Jason has ideas, I try to put every single thing in there. I think I've gotten almost everything he's ever asked me to do, but the story's the most important thing. So, you have to be able to tell that story. And sometimes that means you got to put things in there that maybe you don't love drawing, but it works for the story better. Then we'll get to the things that you love. So, yeah.
Thank you both for coming on, talking about By the Horns.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It was fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys picking up the book, supporting it, and giving us a platform to promote it.
Definitely been a big fan of it.
We
Very excited for it to come back, potentially June 1st.
Right, we think June 1st. We'll see volume 2. Hopefully you guys get your comps next week.
If we get the comps, then I'm going to guess for sure that it's going to be June 1st.
Hell yeah.
So, but,
can't be in my hands fast enough.
It's soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
For it.
We're always so happy to talk to people that love the book because, Markisan writes it by himself. I draw it by myself, and we put it out in the world, and you think, like, hopefully someone likes what we did,
2 people like what you did.
It's a very solitary thing.
we
go back and forth saying, like, should we do that? And then, like, when somebody says, like, oh, I really love that thing you did, you're like, oh, my God, it's so rewarding because, we put the time and effort to do that, and somebody noticed,
Yeah. Right. And thanks for everybody who was in the chat there. We really appreciate you coming on and like asking questions. I hopefully we got all the questions and answers in there. So we appreciate it.
Everyone go check out Ignacio also.
Thanks, Ignacio. Yeah, I love that cover you did, Ignacio. It's awesome. Yeah, it's an awesome cover, which we'll show off real soon. I want to say it's for the second issue of Dark Earth. So
nice.
Hopefully they'll be in people's hands soon, and we'll show it online.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And if you guys do decide to create a By the Horns RPG, I guess
we'll let you know. Well, hey, if there's an RPG company out there, like we have the perfect book for you.
Yeah.
I don't know what
everybody from Wizards of the Coast.
Was it Monster of the Week is a system that exists. Which could be a cool system for this. So maybe check them out. But anyways, we can have a whole nother hour-long discussion about everything fantasy, By the Horns. So thank you guys. We'll have to do this again sometime to further that discussion.
Sure. Yeah. Anytime you want us back, we'll come back.
By the Horns is the trade's out right now. You can get it on Amazon, get it at your local comic shop, read it digitally if you want to.
Either of their websites down below in the
you can get it at our website. You get signed copies, you get sketches done. We're very approachable.
And you can follow it's By the Horns Comic on all their social media platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, By the Horns Comic, and we do updates. Jason will show off things that he's drawn, pages, and so we'll let you know when the new issue is going to drop for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll be looking out for the post of confirmed date.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. June 1st.
We got this. So thanks again, everyone watching in the chat, watching this later on, or listening to this in audio form.
Thanks.
Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, friends.